And hi, everyone. Welcome to TBS Presents Sport Magazine on Radio. I'm John Daly. We have a different show for you today. Instead of 3 guests, it will be just one, Bryan Cranston. Many of you know Bryan for his role as Walter White in Breaking Bad. He also has a new film coming out called The One and Only Ivan. But Bryan is so much more. He is one of the greatest actors of our time. But he's also an entrepreneur with a new libation, a mezcal. Plus, he is a huge sports fan, a Dodgers fan, who remembers the Dodgers playing in the Coliseum in the late 1950s all the way up to the Dodgers' loss in the 2018 series. Now, for me, Bryan has been a good friend since 1983. Our mutual friend is John O'Hurley, my college roommate and longtime buddy. John O. introduced Bryan and me when they were starring in the soap opera Loving back in 1983. Now, once we all ended up on the West Coast, Bryan gave me 2 great tips. I was taking acting classes, more for exploring screenwriting. But I was tempted to look at acting. Bryan asked me, "Do you wake up every morning thinking about acting?" I said, "No, I really don't." He said, "Then don't waste your time." And he was right. Then in 2004, as I covered and deciphered the 2004 presidential election, Bryan said to me, "Why don't you write a book on this?" And I did. Thus, my first book, Truth, the No BS Guide to Navigating a Media-Biased World. I am indebted to Bryan for both of those gems of advice, but I want you to meet the real Bryan Cranston, especially through his eyes as a sports fan. Sports is more than just wins and losses. It is the fabric of our lives, and it plays out in many ways in each of our lives. I want to bring that to you more often. Tell me what you think. Here's our trivia question for this week. Who was the first player to hit a home run in the LA Coliseum once the Dodgers moved to LA? The answer at the end of the show. Sport Magazine on Radio is brought to you by the TBS Television Network. Watch 6 streaming sports channels at tbstvnetwork.com. There's TBS Sports, TBS Classic Sports, TBS Women's Sports, TBS Turbo Sports, the TBS Boxing Network, and TBS Sports Bureau. Catch my show, Undercover Jet Setter, on the TBS Travel Network and on the TBS Tavern Network. Just go to tbstvnetworks.com. Sport Magazine on Radio is brought to you by IVP Air, an air filter system that scientific studies have shown it can kill 99.9% of COVID virus in the air. For more information, go to ivpair.com. When we come back, Bryan Cranston.
The TBS Television Network, for decades your home for great sports TV, is back. You can watch 6 TBS sports channels now streaming on WatchYour.tv. It's free and it's on the internet as well as on Roku, Android, and iPhone and iPad apps. Watch TBS Sports Network, TBS Classic Sports Network, TBS Turbo Sports Network, TBS Women's Sports Network, TBS Tavern Sports Network, and TBS Boxing Network. That's TBS Television Network. 6 free channels at WatchYour.tv.